play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
People save this to the end, but that's not how we do it here at Blake and Vish Sports. We're going to do it right here at the beginning. And I'm going to start off with you, Grant, and I'm going to ask you, give me your prediction, 49ers versus Packers. Who's going to win this game? How do you see this game playing out? Lay it all out for me.
Okay, so I've been wanting to pick the Packers all week. I haven't made a prediction. And basically my attitude this week was I'm picking the Packers unless I see something change my mind. And I think the fact that they're down to their third string left tackle or whatever is making me change my mind. Like, I was thinking going to this game, I just don't think the Niners have enough offense to win this game. They couldn't put away Philly. They couldn't put away Detroit. They're going to mess around and let Green Bay hang around, and that pass rush will get tired, and Aaron Rodgers will do something crazy, and they'll lose by like 2 or something like that. But, man, I can't. I feel like Green Bay's offense is going to have a lot of problems in this, even though they have Aaron Rodgers. They really don't play well on the West Coast. They're 2-7 on the West Coast in their last 9 or something like that. I think it's going to be the over-under is 50. I would take the under, and I'm going to say the Niners win 23-21, and I have very little confidence in what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
Interesting. So now we bring a little more bias in. We got the pure objectivity from Grant, who's neither a fan of the Packers, neither a fan of the Niners. And now we bring the two people that have fandom. You know, I'm a Niners fan. Blake's a Packers fan. Blake, how do you think this game is playing out?
The whole Elton Jenkins thing was very unbeknownst to me, like right after. And it was only just until today that they mentioned that he's doubtful to play. So how it's looking on the O-line is Billy Turner is going to be our left tackle. And if you remember, he played left tackle in the NFC Championship game against the Buccaneers. And that was a rough going for him. And then at right tackle, we're going to have Dennis Kelly, who was a former Tennessee Titans starter. He's there now, which is okay, not the worst. But I'm concerned for the O-line because the last couple weeks, they have allowed a lot of pressures and sacks, and they weren't playing the best of defenses. Now, the Saints have a pretty good D-line, but the Lions do not. And they did not look the best against the Lions. So that's my major concern there. And then the defense, I know the Niners have like 5 running backs injured or whatever. It doesn't matter what running back the 49ers have. It really doesn't. You could put QC Grant Cohn in at running back, and he's running for probably 5 yards a carry. So
he's 4.5 speed, though.
Yeah, he is more
yards after contact for sure, all day.
Yeah, he does. Grant does fit the scheme that Shanahan runs, so that would be good for them. But in all seriousness,
why? Because I have legs and face? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I'm concerned about the running of the Niners, which has been a problem, obviously, in the past when playing the Niners and playing any other team with the semblance of a run game. So for that reason, I'm going Niners, and I think it will be close. I do think it'll be close because the Niners cornerback situation is iffy, and Devontae Adams is going to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, so I hate to be just repeating what you guys said, but I'm also going to take the Niners in this game, and it's going to be for a lot of the reasons you guys said. I think this game is actually going to be the closest matchup between these two teams. I think there's a lot of things in this game that's going to make it closer. Sure, Elton Jenkins' injury, that hurts, especially because if there's one thing you can say about Rodgers' entire career in Green Bay, sure, their scheme hasn't always been the best. Sure, there's been years where his weapons haven't been good. Sure, their defenses have sucked. He's always had fantastic protection in front of him, and I don't think
I told the Sonoma thing I'd go on their radio station. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm hella sorry. I'm sorry. I'm back in 5 minutes. Go ahead without me.
All right. Okay. Weird, but continuing, I think that the Packers, more or less, I just think that their protection will be struggle to hold up, obviously, and I think that the Niners defense will give them trouble. I think Nick Bosa looked really, really good against Jordan Mailata, who's a very good left tackle on Sunday, and I think he's about to lick his chops and feast with Billy Turner and Dennis Kelly if they're the 2 tackles that start for the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. And so from that standpoint, I do think the 49ers front 4 can give them problems. I think the Packers defense isn't very good. I think it's a bottom 10 front 7 in football. I think that front 7 is really going to struggle with the Niners offensive line, with George Kittle, with Deebo Samuel. But the reason I think it's really going to be close is more or less because of Aaron Rodgers. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is due for a really good game against the 49ers, especially. I think we saw the kind of things Aaron Rodgers does when he feels that he has a favorable matchup with Davante Adams. I mean, the best example of this, especially when you're talking about a scheme sound defense that doesn't flip their corners or move their corners around, they're looking to play certain sides the way the Niners do. Do you remember what Aaron Rodgers did with Greg Maben on that fateful Monday night in the frozen tundra against Green Bay? And I think more or less that I think we're going to see something a little bit like that, where if he sees a matchup with Davante Adams, especially because the Niners aren't the kind of team that just changes their scheme and is just going to flat out double Davante Adams. You know, they're going to continue to play zone coverage and they'll help on Davante Adams' side and they'll shade the safety over, but it's not going to be, you know, a pure double team on Davante Adams the way New England might do it. So because of all those reasons, I do think Rodgers and Davante Adams are due to have a very good game in this game. Yeah. Maybe the best game they've had together against this 49ers group. And so because of that, I think it'll be a closer ball game. But I just don't foresee the Packers defense being able to stop the run. I like Trey Sermon. I have not been that impressed actually with Elijah Mitchell the last 2 weeks, especially when I go back and watch the film. What I saw from Trey Sermon in college, I personally think Sermon's the better back. Now, there might be other reasons why Sermon hasn't played or hasn't started. We don't know. But him fully healthy against this Packers front, I think Sermon's going to have a great game. I think this is the kind of game that's going to really, you know, put himself on the map because I just don't foresee the Packers being able to stop the run.
Not only stop the run, but they can't rush the passer at all. They've had 1 sack this year, and it was because Jared Goff fell on the ground. That's how they got the sack. It wasn't like they had really good pressure or they dialed up a good blitz. No, it was not that. It was simply that Jared Goff fumbled the ball, bringing it back because it was raining, and then just fell on it, and that's how they got the sack. And, I mean, as much as you want to say that the Niners don't have the best pass blockers, specifically at guard, and then with McGlinchey on the outside, it's really not going to matter because the Packers aren't going to be able to take advantage of the matchup with the weaker pass blockers, as they just don't have that type of pass rush, especially with Za'Darius out. Za'Darius would help boost that significantly, but with him out, it's just a lost cause at this point.
On the Niners' offensive line, to their credit, like McGlinchey has had a pretty solid season overall in pass protection so far. Very good season, actually, especially by his standards, given that he struggled a bit more in pass protection last year. He's been pretty good this year so far. Trent Williams is obviously fantastic, and I think that front four for the Packers is going to struggle. I also think the Packers' back seven is not as good or isn't really as good as we think it is, especially I don't think it fits their scheme. If you remember, Patton played a bit more single high. This is more of a split safety defense. But what he did with single high, and I wanted to highlight a player in particular, and that's Darnell Savage. Darnell Savage, the best thing he does is he plays really well as a robber safety. And Patton used to put him in that spot a lot, and that's why he had quite a few picks last year. His pick against the Niners last year, he had a pick or he dropped a pick. I think he dropped a pick, but he dropped a pick as a whole defender in cover one, and Nick Mullins threw it right to him. Well, they play a bit more split safety, and that doesn't really suit Darnell Savage, and he struggled a little bit to start this season. And honestly, Eric Stokes has looked good when he's played, but outside, really in the Packers defense, obviously Jair Alexander is fantastic. He continues to be fantastic, and Amos is a really solid player, but I think their back seven and their linebackers, Savage and Kevin King and others have just not, played at the level that you need to play if you have such a poor pass rush. And so because of that, it's not even that I think the Niners, can impose their will the way they did in 2019, because the lack of running backs does scare me. It really does. And the corner depth does scare me. It's just that I think it's such a poor matchup with especially the level that the Packers are playing right now. And now with Elgton Jenkins out, who's really been their best offensive lineman. I mean, he's made it possible for them to function without Bakhtiari. Like, he's played at a very, very, very high level so far this season. And so it's unfortunate to me that it's happening this way, but I think the Niners win a close one. You said, I think 22-20 or 23-20.
I haven't given a score. I mean, I'd say probably like 28-20 49ers. That's what I would take.
Yeah, I would go I was thinking more like 27-21, something like that. A one-score ball game, you know?
Yeah,
I think Rodgers is gonna have a good game, though.
Yeah, I think especially because considering the fact that he usually does really well against weaker corners. You saw what he did last week on against the Lions, and just in general, like if he knows that there's a rookie corner out there, like he's throwing the ball that direction like every time until you can stop it. And he's consistently done that over the years, so he will probably continue to do that with whatever. I know Lenore has been kind of the guy who's stepped up, and they have Norman as well. So whichever one he likes the matchup on, he's going to go there. But it will be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with Devontae Adams, any corner is a good matchup. So it doesn't matter if it's Lenore, if it's Norman. If he sees it and he's able to isolate Adams. Because the other thing is he would move Adams around and make sure he got Greg Maben on him. And he's shown that he's capable to do that. And, you know, the big change between 2020 and 2019 with Rodgers and LaFleur is they did add a little more of that element where if Rodgers sees a matchup for Adams, he can kind of change or alert one side of the concept and make sure he gets Adams the ball. So I think we'll see some of that. Before we move on to our next topic, we did receive a question. I think we should probably discuss that, and then maybe Grant comes back for the next topic. I don't know. He's on the radio, I guess, right now. But G. Mushiana asks, will Eric Armstead and Kinlaw, I think he means, play? If not, who replaces them?
From what I've seen, I mean, I haven't really kept up. I think this would be more of a question for you, Vish, about the Niners D-line.
Yeah, so Armstead is going to play. I think he just had some soreness and they were giving him a rest day. He did practice, I saw yesterday, so I think he's going to play. I think he's out of the question. I think he'll play. Kinlaw may be a little bit more of a question mark. He's questionable just as he was for the Eagles game. And I do think they mentioned he got a little bit dinged up in the Eagles game. I'm not sure. If Kinlaw doesn't play, I think the same people replaced him who replaced him in week 1. It'll be Kentavious Street. It'll obviously be DJ Jones, who starts anyway on the other side of him at D-tackle. And then it'll be probably some combination of Zach Kerr and others. I mean, I think Zach Kerr was inactive because Kinlaw was active, but if Kinlaw can't play, then Zach Kerr likely plays. So, yeah, it'll be some sort of combination of that, most likely.
And do you think there will be a big drop-off in production if both of them can't play and then they're getting replaced by Kerr, Street, and the others?
Yeah, definitely. If these two guys don't play, I mean, we think Armstead is going to play, I think. But if these two guys don't play, I do want to talk about it. I think the prediction, we'll talk about it a bit later, but Aaron Jones, to me, could be a factor in this game. He's not played well against the 49ers. The 49ers have really fit this run game really well. Robert Saleh used to eat this run game for breakfast. But I do think Aaron Jones, the explosive element that he brings, he could be a factor in this game if both Kinlaw and Armstead don't play. But I think Armstead's going to play, and I think Kinlaw has a chance of playing. So, yeah. Grant, what are your thoughts on this real quick before we move to our next topic?
Those two guys who are questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a primetime game. I would think, yes, they were both. Yeah, I would think that they would play. I don't know how effective they'll be, but it's not like they have Kyler Murray rolling out. Aaron Rodgers is one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the league. Sorry, Blake. At this point, I think Eric Armstead can be all over him. Yeah, I think they'll play. I mean, they want those sacks. Look at who's playing on offensive line. I think these guys are going to suck it up. Kinlaw might get 2 sacks. Armstead might get 2 sacks. Yeah, I'd play if I were them. It's time to get paid. Seriously. How you think Rashawn Gary's looking at Mike McGlinchey this week? He's like, oh, money. Money.
Vish was saying McGlinchey's looking better this year, Grant. What are your thoughts on that? I know he's one of your favorite players, so.
Yeah, well, the Niners have been winning all season. He kind of starts to struggle when they're losing and trying to come back, stuff like that. So we'll see how he does. More. Yeah, drop back stuff, that kind of stuff. He gave up a big hit on Jimmy last week, but the Niners were controlling that game.
Josh Sweat blew him up. Josh Sweat's a good player, though. Really good player.
Yeah, and so is Rashawn Gary's a good Rashawn Gary is a good athlete with a good bull rush, and that might be all you need against Mike McGlinchey. I don't know. At least in the past game. McGlinchey could take him in the run game, probably.
Yes.
So without further ado, I think we're right on our next topic. We're
Sorry, I
talking
ran away. The
offensive
guy on the
line.
media on the radio called me Grant Johnson. Swear to God. So sorry about that.